So, you've been working on this. This is your second season now.
Yeah, we're in season 2.
You've done a lot of really cool horror stuff. Like you wrote Scream, which is probably my all-time favorite horror movie. Have you taken any of those, like anything you've done with all the old movies you've done, and kind of used them in this?
Yes, a little bit, not much, because I have a whole team of writers, so I can't take credit for too much of all this. But I do think one of the things we try to do is since we're doing the fairy tales, we try to play with the tropes. And we try to give you the tropes, spin them around a little bit, and serve them up in a different way, which is kind of what we did with Scream.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
How do you approach your writing process day to day? Has it changed since you first started? Do you still have the same method?
Well, so it's evolved a lot. When I first started out, I was writing out of desperation, which is one of the big changes. And now I'm I'm still writing out of desperation because you're writing with a deadline. Oh, thank you. I'm writing with deadlines, and you're just trying. We live in a world of television now. There's so much of it, and it's like, how do you tell an honest, true story and also try to stand out and sort of break through the noise? And it's really hard. And sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't. And I think the trick is you just have to write a really good story, and you just have to concentrate on character over anything else. And if you don't, no one cares.
What are going to be?
Yes. No. Well, these fairy tales go back a lot further than Disney, and in fact, the reason Disney did them, I think, is because they were free game, and so Disney used them the same way we are, and we pay homage to some of the Disney moments, but we don't necessarily, we use the original stories. And we're twisting them around in such a way, and we're changing genders, and we're redefining kind of what the themes and elements of all those storylines are. So we kind of just are having they're so different. But we do a lot of winking.
What are going to be some of the similarities, differences between the first season and the second season?
We learned a lot from the first season because it's really hard to do 3 storylines and intertwine them successfully, and also because there's so many characters and there's just an hour of TV. We struggled, I think, last year finding sort of the balance of all of that and how they intertwine, and it's sort of like there's so many characters, it's hard to get invested in one character when there's another one, and there's 15 main characters, and so that was always a challenge. So this year what we did is we used the framework of one family. So these 3 fairy tales all intertwine through one family. So we don't have to cut away and cut away and cut away. When we do, we're cutting away to, it's all based on one spine. So we have a spine that sort of everything the tentacles go out from it, but it all stays unified, which helps you care, helps you connect to it. It's more honest, more emotional, and you just sort of understand people from the get-go, as opposed to last year where I felt like it took a while to latch on. You had so this year's different, and I think we learned from last year.
Since you've had the experience with both television as well as films, which one do you find more challenging and why?
It's hard. Whenever I'm doing TV, I want to do a movie, and when I'm doing a movie, I want to do TV. It just never fails. That's just the way it is. And which I'm doing now. I'm doing a movie now because I feel like I've done so much television. And now as I'm sitting here making this movie, all I'm thinking about is, well, if I write a pilot while we're shooting, so. They're so different beasts. It's funny because I've been doing TV for so long, and I haven't really made a movie since 2010. So that's a decade. And so I'm just starting to do one right now, and we're prepping. And it's a whole different experience because you're doing a 3-act structure. It's a different mindset. Nothing is as rushed. You can take your time a little bit. You can breathe. You're shooting 3 pages a day, not 10. And so you can actually make things cinematic, and you can actually be more thoughtful and caring. And it's not rush. It's all about prepping and making it beautiful. And I don't know, you just get a lot more time with movies. And I do like breathing. And TV, in TV you don't breathe. You're always just pace. You're always in the editing room, and then you're writing, and then it's just a full-time job. And with a movie, you get more care, and you get to finesse, and you get to texturize in a way in which you can't always in TV.
differences between like some of the other television shows you've done, how they have an ongoing story through every single season. This time, you kind of have this anthology series that you're changing up and almost making different movies each season, kind of around the same base thing. Does that play anything different into whether you're doing television or movies or whatnot? Because this is kind of like a longer movie.
Well, that's why one of the reasons to do it is because it's a challenge. You know, I've always done serialized TV, and this is serialized, but you're right, it's close-ended. It's a book. You know, and so we the writers, we all think of it as a book, and every week's a chapter. But there are 3 books because there are 3 storylines, and so they all have to sort of intersect. And we just sort of, this year has been a lot easier than last year. Last year was more of a challenge, but I think this year, because we used the family as the spine, it's allowed us to sort of tell a beginning, middle, and end successfully.
Purely for television, do ratings affect you? Meaning, if you have an episode that gets really good ratings, do you try to find that magic again creatively, or do you not let it influence you?
Well, it doesn't influence on this because we're pretty much done with all 10 before it airs. You know, we're shooting episode 6 right now, and we don't air till December 5th, so we'll almost be wrapped. So we can't. But with regular, like in Dawson, like with Vampire Diaries, for instance, you do respond to what works. You know, and when you're in the writer's room and you have this really great twist and this really great moment where, oh, I know, why don't we let Ian kill Elena's brother? That's the way to make him bad again. That's the way to turn Elena against him. And it'll make him, you know, because the audience likes him and he should be the villain. And so, you know, you do it, and if it works, but we couldn't turn him into, once we made him nice, we couldn't turn Damon into a villain to save our lives. The audience loved him no matter what. And we kept trying to turn the audience against him again, just so we could win him back again, and it was really hard. But I think the trick is I try not to read Twitter. I try not to let it influence me.
It's always good to stay away from Twitter.
I think so too, but Julie Plack doesn't agree, and so I let her read Twitter for me, and then she tells me. She'll go, no, they don't like that, and I'll go, okay, you know.
So what was the casting process like for this season? Because like Paul and Danielle are back, but it's a new cast beside that. So how did you go about doing that?
Well, you know, I could have brought more back, but they're not, and not everyone was available because it was, you know, we get them from one season. But Paul and Danielle are very near and dear to me because of the Vampire Diaries, and Danielle was on the originals. And so they've been in my family for a really, really long time. And I mean, it really is sort of a family. It's crazy. And so I love working with them. And this year I got to put them together.
One last question.
And so that was a lot of fun for me. And then I just, you know, whoever's available. And I got to work with Matt Lauria, who I've never gotten to work with. And I've been trying to work with him since Vampire Diaries. I wanted him on Vampire Diaries, and he was unavailable. So I've been trying to get this guy for ever, and this is my first chance to. He's amazing. He's so good.
Thank you guys so much.
Dawson's Creek. How come you let Joey wound up with Pacey instead of Dawson?
Oh, really? Really? We're gonna go there? We're not done with this yet.
I have to ask before we. Good job.
Okay. First of all. No, you know what? I see it differently. One of the things I loved about Dawson's Creek, it was always trying to break the mold. You know, when we came on, we were living in the wake of Beverly Hills 90210. So we would always think, how do we sort of riff on Beverly Hills 90210? How do we always like do the opposite and be different? And to me, one of the ways you do that is you mix it up. You change the ending. And in my view, Dawson and Joey did end up together. Because if you look at the scene before we pushed ahead 5 years ago, they have that moment on the dock where they go, you and me forever. And they say, you and me always. And so the way that I see it is that Dawson and Joey, that sometimes your soulmate is not your romantic love. You know, we live in a world of chosen family. And we're not, because, you know, I certainly for my life has been all about chosen family. It's not been about necessarily my family, birth family. So I wanted to sort of express that soulmates don't always define themselves as romantic love. Sometimes they come in the form of a best friend. And so Dawson and Joey, in my eyes, are soulmates forever, but her romantic love was with Pacey. They had the spark, they had the romance, they had the hot sex, they had the forever, you know? And I sort of think that, to me, was, and that in a way is my way of having my cake and eat it too. And I know it may not satisfy everybody, but that's the way I saw it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
We are satisfied.
Thanks.